Hello everyone and welcome back to a new tutorial. In this video we're going to be showing you a great add-in available for Excel that allows us to build a dynamic org chart. So all we need to worry about is adding the data and the add-in will take care of everything else. So no more messing around in PowerPoint with having to reshape and format boxes and adding lines, or having to worry about paid for features or add-ons or just apps in general. So we'll jump straight into it. Before we do though, obviously if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of videos out already and lots more coming out. So by subscribing and hitting that bell notification button, you'll be sure to be notified of all of our future videos. And always, please do give the video a like, it is greatly appreciated. So what do we need to do? So the only things we need for this is obviously to have Microsoft Excel, and we are using the Office 365 account. So I believe quite a lot of people do use Office 365 nowadays. I'd certainly very recommend it if you don't already, because you can get it for very cheap monthly subscription. So this is the only prerequisite you need to have to do this feature. Go into a blank sheet, and all we need to do is go to the Insert tab and navigate to the button that says Get Add-ins. And if you weren't aware of this button here, there's a number of add-ons available to us as Office users, covering from everything really. So looking on there, you can see there's data analytics all the way through to sales and marketing, project management. So there's a lot of options on there, even that geographic heat map one just something jumped out to me right there. So obviously, aside from this, for the purpose of this tutorial, this is another great feature to go and explore, because you might find some really helpful add-ons in there as well. The one we're going to be looking at today is Visio. So all we need to do in our search bar is type in Visio. And for many out there, you're probably aware that Visio is generally a standalone application as part of Microsoft Office that allows us to do some visualizations such as diagrams, workflows, and obviously org charts in the example for this video. The benefit of this add-in is you do not need to have Visio installed on your machine because the add-in just does this all for you. All you need to do is hit Add. You'll get this pop-up here. We'll ask you to look at the license terms and privacy policy. We're just going to hit Continue because we're already done with that. But obviously, it's worth noting that you should obviously always read those key pieces of information before just installing anything. And then once you've done that, you'll get this pop-up here for the data visualizer. So you've got three options here. We've got basic flowchart. Obviously the options you see here. I don't know why it does this, but it keeps graying out the sections, but let's go to the next one. So we've got here the cross-functional flowchart, so slight different way of doing flowcharts, you see with the grids there and the different sections. But the option we're interested in is the organisational charts. And you can see we've got a nice selection to choose from. So we've got a quick start, the vertical design, a horizontal design, side by side, and then also a hybrid example there as well. So it pretty much comes down to your personal preference or choice when it comes to how you want to present your org chart. For me, we'll keep it very simple and just go for that vertical option in the middle there. All you need to do to obviously proceed, what seems obvious, is to just click the org chart you require. But what you'll notice, as soon as I click that, there'll be a data table or the table inserted into this sheet here, sheet number 1, and it will automatically produce an org chart. And basically what that table has, it's just got some example data for us to start with to build that initial org chart. So if I click the vertical, you can see that it's inside the table and it's now creating the diagram, which it has already now completed. And there we go, as simple as that, we already have a basic org chart to start with. Now I'm just going to make this a bit bigger so you can see from viewing where you are. I hope that's fitting on your screen nicely. And there we go, there is our org chart. And then we can simply, if all we needed was the information we had here by room charts, literally just 3 levels, 2 managers into a director, and then obviously 4 members of staff. You've got all the information you need here, and all you need to do is just update the existing information. By that, if we want to change any of these names or what they're doing, so let's see Ailey here, this bottom left one. Let's say actually this isn't this individual, it's actually, I don't know, Barry Scott. Barry Scott, And he's not an engineering lead, he's a technician manager. Don't even know if that's an actual job or if it really makes sense, but that's what we're going to call it. And actually, he probably wouldn't be a manager down there, but we'll say he's a project. Actually, maybe he's a projects assistant, being logical with what the title of his manager. So we'll go a products assistant. So we've made our changes. So all we need to now do is, if we hit this refresh button, you can see it will refresh the data. It's found that actually the name is now Barry Scott and he's a products assistant, and it's automatically updated that for us. So very simple and straight to do. Another quick change you might suddenly notice is, well, actually, and I'm just going to change the name of mine. I'm going to put in here my name, Ben. Yeah, it's just a bit easier for me to keep referencing, and I'm not then obviously ruining or pronouncing a name very badly. So let's just change that as well. So let's say Ben, who's the manager of products, he's got more than just 2 people reporting to him. He's actually got 3. So all we need to do is now add additional people to this table. The key parts of this table is the employee ID in column A and the manager ID in column D. The employee ID needs to be unique to each individual, and as you can see from our example here, apart from ID 5 that seems to be missing, everything is going incrementally up by 1, just obviously to make sure that everyone has got a unique ID. So our next person would have to be ID 9. And for those who are not familiar with working with tables in Excel, all you need to do is just start typing on the next available row beneath your table, and the table will automatically register and identify your the new row you're entering information into as being a new row to be added to that table. And let's call this person Tom Jones, first name that comes to mind. And let's say that Tom Jones is, he's also an assistant, but we'll just call him just a standard assistant. So the next, one of the really important parts here is now we've got Tom Jones, but we now need to know who he reports into, and that's where the manager ID comes in. So we know we want him to report into Ben. So what we need to do is find out what Ben's ID is. So Ben's employee ID is ID 6. And that's all that the IDs are in here in column D. They are just literally the individual's employee ID, but obviously it's their manager's employee ID, to put it simply. So we just need to go and get that from Ben, or alternatively, we know that Barry reports into Ben as well, so we could have just got that information from here, alternatively. So we'll put in ID 6. And we'll just mark him as a staff member. The benefits of obviously this role type that we have here is that allows, or this dictates the formatting going to be used in our org chart. So you can see an executive, so we've got Bianca here at the top there. She has been, because she's an executive, obviously her box in with her name is going to be red. At manager, we can see her in this purple colour, and then the staff members are in this like bluey green sort of teal colour. And we have a number of other options available to us there as well. So obviously we could use them if we wanted to. So once I've now added Tom Jones, all I need to do is hit refresh. And you can see that, well, in its existence, that whole team has moved over to the right-hand side. But we can now see we've got those 3 individuals reporting into Ben. And just to go one bit further, let's add another person, ID 10. Let's call this person, I don't know, say Claire. Let's say she is also an assistant for lack of thought. And let's say actually she now reports into Barry. So let's go get Barry Scott's ID. What's ID 8? And he is a staff member. Oh, and as you'll see, I was just using the tab button to move through each of those columns, but obviously once I got to the end, it added a new row. So all I just need to do to avoid any errors is just go right click on that row, go down to delete, and just go table rows. I know it's when it says table rows, sometimes people read that as in, oh, I don't want to delete all of the table rows, but it just referring to that particular row you are selected in, or the particular rows you have selected. So obviously if you selected multiple rows there, it will do delete multiple rows. So we've just now added Claire in there. We could do one more refresh. And you can see that it's now been updated to show that Claire now reports into Barry. So a really easy format to use and dynamically update your org chart. And as mentioned before, I can't stress enough how much easier it is when you're updating data like this versus having to rearrange boxes or whatever is needed in PowerPoint. And I did just touch on the role type. So as you'll see with Bianca, if I was to change that to a manager and refresh, you can see how the formatting of their box is now changed to the manager one. So that's all that does. And we've got some other options here. So we've got like vacancy. What does that one do? Oh, it's made it yellow. And then we've got consultant here as well. So it's just got different there. So each role type has been assigned a different color formatting. So that just obviously helps that as well, doesn't it? But we'll put her back to executive, so we know that she is still at the top of this tree. Okay, so well, that is the basic crux of how to use this add-on. Briefly touched on it here when I retyped over. Obviously, if you have any information you want to, or changes and you need to change someone's name, or alternatively, if obviously when you first add this in there, you just need to change people's names, all you need to do is just type over that particular information that you want to get rid of. So for like me here, let's say actually Bianca is not the manager, it's actually John. All you need to do is obviously put him in there, and I can even say, well, he's not a director, he's a managing director. Just again, a very lack of terms. You can see it's really easy just to get those updated and to change. And it's also worth noticing, because I haven't already, if you do need to change any of these IDs because you're actually working with your own data, all you need to just do is say John's ID is actually ID 1001. Obviously you can change it to whatever it might need. Well, actually, let's change it properly. Let's say R123 for argument's sake, just to know it's quite a bit different. We can change it. All we need to do is, once we've changed his employee ID, we need to make sure that anywhere that states his old ID of ID1, that's also changed to obviously his new one of R123. So I'm just going to do that here. And there's only those two people, but as you'll see, when that's refreshed, it still enables it to keep its structure, because it's then going to map those IDs accordingly. So hope you did enjoy that video. If you've got any questions at all, you can drop a comment below this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't already, do give the video a like. It's not only greatly appreciated by myself, because it really does help with that YouTube algorithm, but it also helps me to identify the videos containing the content that you would like to see more of. And lastly, please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell notification button so you're notified of all of our new videos as they come out. We've got over 100 videos on the channel now, so if you haven't, do check those out. Some really great content of various topics to go over. So all that's left to say is thank you very much again for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Before you go, don't forget to check out the other videos on our channel. You'll see everything from other functions and formulas through to tips and tricks. We've also created some playlists so you can see these categorized together, so make sure you check those out and get all those useful information. And obviously, as always, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification button.